Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from Magoo Investing. Happy Thursday and happy opening day to people that follow baseball. It's a very exciting time. It feels like spring is finally here, and it's crazy to think that we're already into April. I'm going to be talking a little bit quieter today because it is pretty early. I'm going to be trying to get videos out earlier this month, and my roommate is still in bed. Today I'm going to be talking about some major changes that have happened in my stock portfolio in the past month because for the first 3 months of the year, I've been relatively stable with how I've been kind of treating my overall stock portfolio. I've been following the same types of trends I've been doing for the past couple months, but in the past month, there's been a lot of volatility in the overall market, which we've been talking about a lot on this channel, but that's resulted in me backing out of some positions that I'd been very bullish on in the past. We had some of my stocks that I bought towards the end of January, early February that are down 20%. So I wanted to talk about how I'm going to be treating this as my green energy portfolio going forward, because for the month of April, I'm going to be talking pretty much exclusively about renewable energy stocks and clean energy stocks because I think they are fantastic buying opportunities for long-term investments. But right now, I'm looking at my portfolio and I'm not the happiest I've been when I look at it. One of the main reasons why I like doing these types of videos is it forces me to kind of give reasoning for why I've made certain decisions when it comes to my overall stock portfolio. Because for a lot of people, they just buy into stocks and then they just kind of sit there and they don't really think about it. I think having maybe it doesn't have to be monthly, maybe quarterly, go in and kind of have a reasoning for why you're buying and holding stocks overall. So in the month of March, this is the first month it's been a while, I think, that I actually underperformed the overall market. In the month of March, my overall portfolio was down 0.06%, so it was pretty flat overall. But this did underperform compared to the NASDAQ that was up around 1%, and the S&P 500 was up 3.6%, and the Dow Jones was up 5.9%. So I'm kind of going to explain why my portfolio underperformed, what I'm looking to buy going into April, and it's kind of my thought process for how I'm going to fill out the rest of my portfolio, because I've been a little bit too conservative in my opinion. I've been holding a lot of my position in cash, and well, that's great because it's the idea of I'm waiting for something to happen in the overall market. If nothing happens and the stock market just continues to go up, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table, so I'm going to discuss my thought process for what I'm going to be doing with that and the stocks I'm looking to buy going into April. Okay, so I'm going to put on the screen right now what my portfolio looked like at the beginning of March, and the thing that should jump out to you immediately is that my portfolio was in 48% cash. That's pretty high, and I was kind of right in being pretty conservative on how things are moving overall. At this point, things were falling pretty aggressively, and we were getting pretty close to correction territory, and at that moment, I wanted to be very heavily invested in cash. And now, when I put in my current portfolio, you'll see a couple things have changed in the past month. The first one is that I'm down to 32% cash. I've put some money to work, and the main position that I decided to buy into is I decided to buy in a PTON, which is going to be up at the top, the kind of darker blue. And since I've bought in, I am up 4.3%. It looks better than it really is because all of that return came on the last day of the month, on the 31st, and I believe PTON was up 4% on the day. So it's not the greatest entry in the world, but when I look at my overall portfolio, I would consider this a pretty green heavy focused portfolio because you have General Electric, which I consider as being a renewable energy stock and my top stock to buy for 2021. Kind of interesting that I always say that, but Southwest Airlines just continues to increase in value over time, and it has become the largest position in my portfolio besides the cash. But you have 14% from the GE. Then you have Nextera Energy, which is NEE, which is 9% of my portfolio. You have TAN, which is the solar ETF, which is down a lot, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And then we have Brookfield Renewable, which is around 3% of my portfolio. So at this point, it's pretty much a one-third, one-third, one-third between kind of the blue chip stocks, the tech stocks, and then cash. So it's a decent place for my portfolio to be, but I kind of want us to talk about some of the recent renewable energy stocks that I bought, because I bought these on an emotional response at the end of, January, when we had the stuff that's happening down in Texas, because I thought that really highlighted the fact that we need a lot of significant changes to make the infrastructure of the U.S. be able to survive what's going on right now and to be more renewable going forward. And so I bought into Brookfield. I have nothing against Brookfield. It's pretty flat. It's down a little bit in my portfolio, but it's only a 3% part of my portfolio, so it's not super significant. But then you have TAN, which is the solar ETF. And the first question is, am I regretting my decision to buy in? A little bit. Obviously, if you have a position that goes down 20%, not going to be feeling great, but I mean, it's only 2% of my overall portfolio. I bought this as an emotional response. I specifically took a small position because I had a feeling something like this would happen. And now we're getting to the point where we're starting to get a little less volatility. It's still pretty volatile overall, but this is a time where I'm looking to buy into positions that I already own. So when I put in my portfolio again, here's the main things that I'm looking to buy going into April, because I think 32% of my portfolio sitting in cash is too much, especially considering that I'm likely going to be adding more to my portfolio size in the next couple months. So it just doesn't make sense to have this much money like sitting on the side. The whole idea is that I've been trying to take advantage of any major discounts that we've gotten. And yes, I've bought into Peloton, which is probably the only example of me buying the dip on really any stock. But besides that, the cash has just been sitting in my portfolio and hasn't really been doing anything, especially considering what the S&P 500 was up like 4% and the Dow Jones is up like 5%. So I'm missing out. So in the upcoming month, the thing that I'm looking to do in the next month is to buy stocks that are already in my portfolio. The only kind of position that I would consider opening that I don't already own, it would be Lululemon, because I think it's a fantastic company and I like the idea of investing in it going forward. But I think the main things I'm going to be doing is just get my portfolio to the distribution that I kind of want it to be. In my mind, I think it should be like 50% renewable, 50% technology. And when we look at it, I have some work to do for sure. Part of it has to do with that cash, but I definitely need to be adding on to positions like Brookfield. I need to be buying more GE. I will talk about what happened there. Towards the end of the month, I was kind of worried that the stock market was very close to falling. We had that news story that was happening with the hedge fund that had like the $30 billion margin call. That spooked me off a little bit. And so I decided to close out a put position that I had sold to try to make sure that I didn't get assigned those 100 shares. And the reason behind that is I like having flexibility with cash. And yes, you have the benefits of getting paid the premium. And in reality, I did close above my strike price, so I wasn't going to get assigned anyway. But the idea is that I was going to close out this position to make sure that I didn't get assigned 100 shares if the market was about to fall. Market has not fallen since then, so I'm kind of made the mistake there. But the whole idea is that I've been trying to protect myself for too long. And yes, seeing the cash makes me feel good because it allows me to, take any new positions that I want. And it feels really horrible if the market falls and your portfolio is 100% already used and you don't have any money to spend. I just don't know if we're going to be seeing a market fall like I was kind of expecting. I can be buying into some of my stocks that I like that are already at a discount, TAN specifically, considering it's down like 20%, and I can lower my average price. But I think I'm just going to be more reliable in buying into stocks that I already own. I think this is a good number of stocks to own because, yes, you get the benefit of diversification if you own a lot of stocks, but you also don't get a benefit enough if one of your favorite stocks shoots up significantly. That's what we saw with GE in the past month, where it was up like 18%. It was my largest part of my portfolio, and it did very well because of that. So I'm just kind of rambling in this video. This is going to be the first kind of discussion about how I've kind of screwed up, because on this channel, I try to be as transparent as possible. I try to show what's been going on with my portfolio. And for the past like 5 months, I've been very vocal about why I've been keeping like 25% of my portfolio in cash. And the idea of it sounds good and it makes me sleep easier at night. But in reality, I've just kind of been missing out on profits, especially because we've only had a couple moments where the market has fallen enough to get people a little bit worried, and I haven't taken advantage of it enough. I've only bought the dip one time, I guess twice if you include Brookfield Renewable and the solar ETF TAN. I just need to be buying more, I think. And I think the next time that we see a dip, I'm going to be buying aggressively. I need to get my portfolio more in line with what I actually believe with the overall stock market, because some of these stocks, especially like Southwest Airlines, becoming my largest part of my portfolio, almost at 20%. I could skim off that position a little bit, especially considering that you could make the argument that it doesn't deserve to be up that high based off of, the pre-pandemic levels, and especially the numbers that we've been seeing coming out from the airline industry. It's improving, but it's definitely not to where we saw before the pandemic. So as of right now, just to kind of highlight what's been going on, I underperformed the stock market for the first time in like nine months, which is not a great feeling. I believe I'm still outperforming the stock market for the year by a pretty significant margin, but I have too much of my position sitting in cash, and I think that's the main reason why I've been underperforming in the past month. So going to be buying more of my favorite renewable energy stocks. Going to be buying GE, Brookfield Renewable, probably going to add on to Nextera. Maybe I'll add a new one if I find a company that I really like, but as of right now, portfolio is not looking as good as I'd like it to be, so I have some work to do in the next month to kind of get it to exactly where I'd like. So let me know what you guys thought about my discussion about holding too much of your position in cash, because the idea of it sounds sound, but you do miss out on a lot of opportunities if you're not willing to hit the buy button when you see a good opportunity and you're worried the stock market's going to fall further. So the emotions of the stock market are something I like to talk about a lot on this channel. And so I kind of wanted to explain why I'm not feeling so great about my positions overall. So let me know what stocks you guys bought in the last month, and let me know what stocks you guys are watching to buy going into April. It's crazy that we're already April 1st. Happy opening day to people that celebrate baseball, and I'll see you guys in the next video.